Hi, I'm Richard Voiles. I'm a professor of robotics at Purdue University in School of Engineering Technology. I teach a class on programming robots with ROS. And so I'm going to give you an introduction on some of the Linux commands you're going to need to know in order to use ROS effectively. Students in my class know that I have this kind of cheat sheet for Linux commands that have the basics for ls, for listing and getting a directory listing, cd to change directory, makedir to create a new directory, rmdir. They know that this is available. You can look this up on my website. We're going to be creating a new ROS node inside a new ROS package. I assume you know some of the basics of Linux and that you've already installed your Catkin workspace in ROS. And so to do that, we first have to cd into a Catkin workspace. In this case, it's lab2_ws. And then remember, cd into the source directory before doing the Catkin create package. And again, once you're in there in that source directory, you do the catkin create package, you give it a package name. In this case, it's just Richard package, and then add your dependencies, standard messages, ROS-Pi, NumPy, whatever you need. Now, we're going to cd into that package we've just created, the Richard package directory. So we cd into that, you see an ls, and we need to create a directory called scripts. That's going to hold our Python scripts. Now, if we cd into that directory, of course, we do an ls and we see that's empty. So we're going to pivot here, and I'm going to show you how, using our virtual Linux machine, we can upload and download files using the VNC. So to upload and download files to the Linux virtual machine, we're going to launch the IP address :port/dev. Now, that, of course, allows us, we can launch a new terminal, as we've done before, and we can go and cd into our Richard package scripts file. But first, we're going to download a file from the Lab1 workspace where our original talker. So we open the folder and we go back to Lab1 workspace in our dialog box there for the scripts file. That gives these old scripts from Lab1. We're going to right click on talker.py and click the download option. You see over in the upper right, it says keep. We go ahead and keep that file. That downloads it, and then we can click on it, and that'll ask us, the dialog will pop up to ask us, well, what do you want to look at it in? So now the file has been downloaded. This is our talker from Lab 1. We see that, okay, this has been saved in our downloads for our browser, our downloads folder. And now what we want to do is upload. And so we go back to, we're going to switch back to look at the open a new place. We're going to open the scripts in the Richard package folder. Okay, and then you right click and we see upload on that, and that then lets us search in the downloads folder for the talker.2 package. That's going to then upload the talker.py, sorry. And now we have uploaded that file into the Richard package scripts location. Okay, so that's how you can both upload and download by basically opening a folder and then right-clicking either upload or download, depending on what you're trying to do. Okay? So let's switch back to our terminal windows. And so these are our original terminal windows. And if we do an ls in our scripts folder, sure enough, there's the talker.py script, which we just uploaded. And if we do an ls-l, our long, that sure enough, we see the time here is just a minute before the current time down here. And yes, that is the brand new file. So great, we have the file there. Now what we'd like to do is run it. So let's go back to, remember that's in the lab2_workspace, the Catkin workspace. So we cd into that directory, and now we're going to source our /devel/setup.bash file. Okay, and there's devel, now setup.bash. And then we're going to do our environment variables. We're going to pipe into grep with ROS, and that shows us all our ROS variables. And if you look now, you can see that Lab 2 workspace has been included, and this includes the new Richard underscore package folder where we put a new package. So this is in fact ready to go. Before we do the ROS run, I'm going to do a PS-A. So this will give us all the processes, and in fact we see there is another Python script that's running, because I did leave a listener running, and that's what that is. Okay, so now we're going to look back at do our ROS run Richard package Python, talker.py. Uh-oh, we got an error message. Now, what is this telling us? Look at that. Let me see. It says it couldn't find an executable, but it found something an awful lot like it, talker.py. Boy, that suggests, what did we not do? When we uploaded the file, we forgot to set the py file to +x, do the chmod, chmod command. Okay, so yep, we're going to have to cd into the directory, and then we see that, okay, there we're into the scripts folder, and now, sure enough, we do an ls-l, and we can see that that file is not set to execute. So we do a chmod all +x star.py, and now we do another ls-l, and sure enough, we can now see that, yep, it's set to execute. So it is set to be executable. We can go back in, and we're going to go back to Lab 2 workspace, and we're going to rerun the ROS run command, and voila, we see that not only I told you that I had a listener sitting there. Now I just did a Control-C to stop it. I had a listener that was already running and listening, and we launched the talker file from this new directory and this new workspace, and in fact, they're all connected. Okay? Now, I did a Control-C to stop it. We're in the Lab 2. Now, by the way, the other talker, the listener, was running from the Lab 1 workspace. Now, I restarted the Lab 2 workspace, and now this time I did a Control-Z instead of a Control-C. And so the Control-Z halts the process but doesn't kill it. So now I can run it in the background. I can enter the BG command, and this will start it up again. Now it's running in the background, and you can see I'm hitting enter. So both the bash shell is talking to this screen, and the talker is talking to this screen. And so now we're getting a little, we can see both of those commands coming up. But you see the talker is running, and over in the other window, the listener is responding. Now, I'm trying a few, here's a Control-C, but it's not stopping the talker now, because that Control-C is going to the bash shell. This is running in the background. This talker is running in the background. So I can't stop it through this window. I have to use my process status and my kill command. And so if I go into another window and do a PS, Now, this is a different instantiation of my login. And so at just a regular PS, it doesn't show up. But if I do a PS-A, that which is the same as PS-all, it will show all the things associated with my user. And now, in fact, yep, there are 2 Python scripts running. Okay, and one of them is the listener over here, and the older one with the smaller PID, that is the listener, and that one is the talker. And so what I can do is back in this window, I can do a kill -9, which is a very strong kill. And then that the PID of this more recent Python script, that will be the talker. And I can kill the talker. Now the listener will stop responding, but it will be sitting there waiting for another for something to appear on the topic. So I enter the kill -9 on the PID of with the process ID for the talker, and sure enough, we see that it has now stopped. Okay, now it's dead, and if we do another PS. Here, let me get back into this screen. Doesn't really matter which screen I do it on, but if we do a PS-A, we see that one of the Python scripts has in fact no longer active. It's been killed. Now, we can go back and rerun it, and voila, here it's running again. And if we come back and we do another PS-A, now there are 2 Python scripts, and you can see that the process ID, the PID on that second Python script has changed because it's a totally new process now. We killed it and we relaunched it. Whereas the old listener, that always has the same PID because that hasn't been killed. Now, of course, we can kill that one also. And we can go over here, use that same, now the smaller PID from the earlier process. We can do a kill -9, type in that PID, not the lower one, which is the talker, but the upper one, which is the listener. And we type that in. And hit enter. And sure enough, the listener has stopped. The talker is still talking, but there's no listener that's seeing the topics. And yep, sure enough, we see that it was killed. And we go over here and hit Control-C, and now both processes have been killed, so neither process exists.